Alright, here we are. Lena, forget about it. Alright, forget about it. Can I tell you that right now? This is the happiest moment of my life. Can we forget about it? Yes, please. No need to talk about it. No need to discuss it. Forget about it. Alright? It's the way I want it. Can you remember this? Yes. What do you need? What else do you need right now? I don't need anything, honey. I'm fine. We're here with Andy Warhol. Right, we're here with Andy Warhol. I have to tell you something. I can tell. Andy, you're going to be the skull tonight? Yeah, I like the skull. And then I really need you to decide what you're going to do with this skull, because it needs to be in a really prominent place of display. You're not displaying it properly. This skull is a real great work of art. Show it off a little bit. All right. We made this skull. This is John, really. Yeah. This is John's Scully. And it's a beautiful piece of artwork. In fact, the hair was the final touch, but we did a lot of artwork around the hair, underneath the hair, the eyes. I mean, it was done with a lot of love. And Andy is right. It does need a prominent place to be displayed. John, are you thinking of the top of the bookshelf? Yeah, I think so, next to Mickey and Minnie. Yeah, Mickey and Minnie is what do you think of that one, Andy? That's by Christopher, Mickey and Minnie. I think you know me, I love that. I really love it. I really love Mickey and Minnie. Yeah. Okay, so you'd said it's the full moon tonight. And Chris is inside practicing Yellow Submarine on the bass. We all live, and our friends are all aboard, right, and many more of them live next door, which is about 5 feet to your left in the air, darling. All right, not to the right. It's wherever you want it to be, but we're all here. Okay, so this is a free-form scat conversation with Andy Warhol, who's with us for as long as he wants to be, right? First of all, you saw a good documentary on me today. And I'm it's a given that I say hello to everyone out there, Lena. Yeah, do your shoulder. All right, I got knots. It's a massager. It's a massager made of titanium. Go ahead, Andy. It's an excellent documentary, but of course it only scratches the surface of the person that I was, and certainly not my spiritual beliefs. Not really. It didn't really get into my spiritual beliefs, but I was pretty definite about my spiritual beliefs, and anyone who knew me knew that I was a religious guy, and I was very You're falling into my Queen's I'm falling right into your Queen's accent. It's not that difficult to do because I was surrounded by drag queens from Queens. Right, that's true. I didn't realize when I watched your video, that documentary, that all those drag queens, a lot of them were from Brooklyn and Queens, were homeboys to me. Yeah. So yeah, I was around that kind of lingo all the time. So lapsing into your lingo is very comforting to me, and I'm finding it really fun. And I'm going to play around with that a little bit. So going to do a little bit of Alina Warhol, if you will. Yes, all right, great. John, let me say something before Andy goes into his shtick. All right. I'm listening. Don't be mad at me. I'm not mad at you. I am not mad at you, honey. Mad for you. I'm mad for you. Hey, Andy, what do you think of these puppets? I love them. I love everything that you guys do. You guys got so much going on here that it's just completely insane. First of all, Johnny's right. You got everything you need, and it's all not just right here. It's everywhere. Yeah, let's play around a little bit with this. Let's play around with the colors, okay? What's this one? I don't know. It looks like a guy with 3 heads or something. Well, let's talk about Andy's documentary and like. So, what do you think? So, after watching that, um, I mean, do you feel that they painted you as somebody that was responsible for the well-being of? Oh, that looks amazing. It just looks amazing. You know, I would have done so much with this kind of technology. I know you would have, Andy. You were well on your way to the modern technology. You were always right on the cutting edge of everything that was new. So, yeah, you would have been right in with this. But enjoy it now. I am enjoying it now. And Greta is here too. Okay, hi Greta. Hello, that's me. I'm the orb floating around the room. Okay, Greta Garbo is here with Andy Warhol, and so we watched it like a 3-hour documentary at Andy's request and John's request today on Andy Warhol and the factory. And I came away with it like quite a few people said, you know, there was a couple of the people that really supported you and loved you. On the topic of Edie Sedgwick and like there was an underlying or not so underlying opinion that you could have done more for them. And I personally, Andy, I don't feel like you could have done more for that girl. No, you're absolutely right. I couldn't. I maybe could have steered her in the direction of more rehabilitation because of her drug use, which is what killed her and led to her demonic possession. She was definitely demonically possessed. And you saw an interesting clip that a lot of people missed in the movie I did about her, Beauty Number 2. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she spoke about beating a horse when she was 9 years old. She was a very fortunate girl. She had her own horse ranch with her family. She went riding every day. I mean, this was really a girl of privilege. She painted herself to be like really the poor little rich girl, like everyone's against me, blah, blah, blah. I have like no sympathy for that bullshit. I really fucking don't. I have a weird feeling about when she talks about her brothers and her father all wanting to have sex with her too, because there was something else going on there, although I can't say I know what it was. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that at all, Andy. She's a trickster. And you're right, she's like those black-eyed children. Once you let them in, they don't want to let go. Look up the black-eyed children, people. This is not just a folklore. This is a real phenomenon. Edie Sedgwick is one of those black-eyed children. Mm-hmm. Now, an attractive one. She had something, but I could also see something in the pictures of her that was not attractive too. Am I saying too much here? No, but let me get in on this first, John. All right, you're right. She would beat the horse. You know, an animal who trusted her or wanted to trust her, later on did not trust her, had to be taken away from her because of fury. I don't want to upset you, Lena. All right, I don't want to hear about some fucking 9-year-old girl. Edie Sedgwick was 9 years old and she was abusing a beautiful horse. How do you do that at 9 years old? I mean, you're not supposed to be hurting animals anyway. And, you know, whatever. That's the sign of the demon, especially in one so young. Taking on a creature like that. I have a bad feeling about where this conversation is going. No, it's not. It's. Go ahead, Andy. Ramp it up a bit. Let Andy take it. All right, well, what I have to say about her is that she had her 15 minutes and, you know, she stretched it out. And just take one look at her behavior in Chow Manhattan. That is a very, very sick soul that really needs to be. And, you know, she went for psychotherapy. She went for shock therapy. There was really not much that could be done for someone so deeply possessed by dark entities. So there was really nothing you could do for her. I'm not a miracle worker. I had my own situation going, and I'm still not a perfect soul. We are all still perfecting. We don't do everything right. Sometimes we make the mistake of not conferring with God and the archangels about where we should be headed, and sometimes we just act without thinking. Now, Lena, you've been guilty of that, and so has John, because you're not perfect either, and you're not pretending to be. Lena, we watch you out here. You pray and you ask for guidance, and you say, did I do the right thing? You've done that with your entire life. You can really let yourself off the hook a little bit, but in a way, don't let yourself off the hook, because what you are doing is the way to do it. Catch yourself, figure out what's going on. But I will say one other thing. The way you're handling that reincarnated person that was Edie Sedgwick, that was your adopted daughter in a past life, you don't need to say her name now. It's been said. You have done nothing wrong. That is a severe wake-up call that needs to go out, because it's her last chance. That person, that's their last chance. They rebuked you once before, seemingly came around, but no, they fell. They faltered and fell. Why? Jealousy. That person is somebody that always wants what somebody else has. And that was Edie. That was always Edie. You'll notice another thing about Edie Sedgwick. She never really had any friendships. You don't hear anybody, the women especially, from the factory, nobody really saying, gee, I really miss her though. She was such a sweet, good friend. And no, she was a train wreck. And she cared only about herself, and she was narcissistic to the point of oblivion. And, narcissism, it's a fatal disease. Can be. And it almost killed me. When you were shot by that person, yes, I could have been kinder to that person, but she was deeply disturbed to begin with. And yes, I did seem to have those types gravitate toward me, the deeply disturbed variety. That's what happens, Lena. You become a magnet. You had that your whole life. Disturbed people were constantly coming to you, expecting things from you. And they get angry after a while when you get too tired and you have no more to give. They're like, wait a minute, what does this mean? You're not doing for me? Why are you not doing for me anymore? I don't, you're supposed to do for me. That's your job. And it's not. You can help guide, but you don't owe anybody anything. The only one you owe anything to in your life is God and the Mother. And if they want you to help people, they'll let you know. But when you're getting too tired to function in that capacity, and you need to take care of yourself first, then that's what you have to do. Anytime that happened in my life, that I had to turn people away, it was out of self-preservation every single time. And that includes with Edie, and that includes with Solana, whatever. Yeah. I won't even bother talking about the woman who shot me, because it's a miracle that I lived and that I survived, and I was a changed person after that. I was a changed person. And you mentioned in that video that when you had the near-death experience of almost you were dead. I mean, you were a dead man. That was a very serious gunshot. Similar to, John, the one John did not survive. That's correct. And you said when you came before the gunshot wound, you didn't fear God. And after the gunshot wound, you feared God. I did. But I didn't mean that I feared God as a wrathful entity. I meant that I feared that I could not be good enough for God. I took on I was a changed person. It was a healthy fear. It was a fear. I still fear death. I did fear death. Um, Everyone who is normal on this earth has a healthy fear for death, because we don't really come down here remembering, you know, where we were before we came down here. And there is that fear of the unknown. And is there going to be a vengeful God or a wrathful God? But I can tell you that if you live your life right, you'll be okay. And if you do what you do, Lena, and what John did during his incarnation as Lennon, question, am I doing this right? Pray for guidance and have faith that you are loved. There has to be love. The love is the guiding force. So that with that as your foundation and as that as your stepping stone, you're going to be okay. Mm-hmm. So when you first crossed over, can we talk about? Yes, of course. So I didn't realize that you died in the hospital several years after you were shot. Well, quite a few years, 20 years after, right? And Sean Lennon loves you deeply. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Mm-hmm. And I was shattered when John was assassinated. That was absolutely horrifying. And but you're talking about my death, right? So you were in the hospital, and it was for a gallbladder operation that you needed desperately, and you died because of malpractice. It was a freak thing. It was negligence on the part of the nursing staff, that they gave you too many fluids. You essentially drowned of like hydro overdose, right? You drowned in your sleep because they were putting too much water into your system. Yes. Mm-hmm. Lena, do you see how this light is going right now? This particular, all these lights around. Mm-hmm. That's what it felt like. Mm-hmm. It was the most peaceful death that you could imagine. What I can say about it is that as soon as I began to cross over, I felt so sure that I was going to a beautiful place where I would be loved and taken care of. That any fear that I had during my incarnation as Warhol just went away. It just floated. I floated away. And meeting me at the end of the tunnel. It's a tunnel that you get to, and then it bursts wide with every color of the rainbow. And I could sense the mother and the father presenting to me my Greta. Mm-hmm. And everything suddenly made sense. And my first words were, what do I have to do in order to stay here? I never want to leave. Never. As colorful as my existence as Warhol appeared to be, surrounded by artwork and every type of medium, it all looked black and white to me now. That I was here, back home. the earth looked black and white looking back at it, because it held no attraction. It seemed like a hard, hard life that I had somehow miraculously survived for 58 years. And now I was being rewarded for my hard work and my pain and my feelings of being an outcast, really, my whole life. That was never something that left me. Feeling like an outcast, no matter what it looked like. It looked like I was the center of this big happening scene. But what kind of scene is it when everyone around you is killing themselves? And that wasn't my fault. I just happened to be looking for some place where I could belong and feel like an insider. I didn't do everything perfectly, and I'm still working on it. But every day I try, every Earth Day as you know it, but every moment is about serving God and not being afraid, learning from my mistakes, and somehow turning those mistakes into guideposts for others who are still trying to find their way back home. And Edie is one of them. And you are my only connection to Edie, Lena. What about God and Mother? They're working through you too. What else do I need to do? Don't feel bad about what you're being asked to do. And know that you have done everything you need to do. And now the rest is up to God. Don't question those intuitive nudges. That's John. He's the Son of God. He does not steer you wrong. Amen. Amen. Full moon. So where do you suppose this skull should go? I do like the idea of it going right above the 9, right next to Mickey and Minnie. It should be in a place of honor. Say, Chris, what do you think of that? Andy says the skull should go up on the shelf. Yeah, the big painted scully. Yeah, we'll put it there tonight for the full moon. Yeah. It's really a fine piece of art. I know, I had it on the bed, but it'll look great up there, you're right. So Edie's, don't worry about it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I noticed that in this life, as dark as her eyes were as Edie, now her eyes are like huge and they're like a very beautiful light green color. Envy. Really? Yes. Green-eyed monster. My sister-in-law had those eyes. Yeah. Envy. Beware, green-eyed monster. There's something to all of it, Lena. Wow. How did that come about, the green-eyed monster thing? Nobody knows. Really? No. I'm going to find out. Yeah, you probably will. Like, how did that saying start, the green-eyed monster? Do you know that? Anything about that, Chris?
Jealousy?
Yeah.
Not really. I know James Joyce called it the green-eyed lobster.
John, you must know. Well, we're going to investigate. That'll be one of our projects tonight. Look up the origins of the green-eyed monster of envy.
Maybe mythological.
Ah, very good. Yes, its roots are mythological, but there is something to it. Think of everyone in your life that you've known with green eyes. I don't know many, but the ones I have known were horribly jealous and destructive.
Just them?
No, not just them, but the ones that I've known that had green eyes, noticeably green eyes. They're usually that real sea green color. Almost like sea moss. That girl that's Edie now has those green eyes, and my ex-sister-in-law, Rookheim, had those eyes. Very interesting, honey. Very interesting indeed. You're really enjoying the camera work here tonight, aren't you? Yes. So, Andy, so you tell a very interesting depiction of crossing over, and you and Greta are very happy. Yeah. It's a beautiful life. It's a very beautiful life. But it's not all just sitting on your laurels and saying, oh, here we are now. Look at how wonderful. Every day, God gives you a chance to serve him. And you'd better take that chance. What about Mother? Mother is a beautiful, tempering, artistic, fun figure who is just all warmth and love. You'd probably want to hang out with Mother all day. And you do. But between her and Father, they give you plenty to work on. And you just never get more than you can handle. But you work plenty until you're tired. And then you have a nice little rest. And it goes just that way. And you create and you enjoy, and you must create, and create havoc is sometimes part of it when you're guiding them down here. By create havoc, I don't mean cause misery. I mean wake-up calls. Sometimes God uses us as instruments to wake others up. You know, I was an instrument to try. I was instrumental in waking a lot of those people up to their gifts, you know, and their capabilities. That was my only desire. My desire wasn't to use people, unless you count using them as other instruments of art. Helping me to create art. But I didn't ask anybody for anything, and they were free to come and go as they pleased, and it was all very copacetic, I thought. You know, I got enough of the blame in my lifetime, but I was completely expecting it when I looked back and saw all that was being said about me after I crossed over. Oh, he was definitely responsible for this one's problems and that. No. I asked God, I said, I'm so sorry if that is true, and God assured me no. You were a wake-up call for some of these people, and some of them chose not to wake up, and they fell deeper into their fucking bullshit. You want to ask me about my relationship with Bob Dylan? Yes, I do. Well, I was going to say you could ask Bob about that, but I'm fine with Bob. And I'm not going to give over my channel to Bob just now. Although he's listening in, and I think you know that. Yes. Hi, Bob. I'm fine with Andy. And I want to say something, too, about Andy. We always had a deep, abiding love for each other. It was all a bullshit act between me and Andy. We were both on to Edie. Isn't that right, Andy? Yes, it is true. Me and Bob were both on to Edie, that she was a desperate, desperate character who really needed to find some kind of spiritual sanctuary. And it was tough love, and it was not cool. And don't get upset. I know this is a lot of energy, so I won't put it all on you now. But yeah, this is Bob talking, and I'm just saying, my relationship with Edie was one of, I had brotherly concern for her. And Andy's nodding his head right now. But I didn't have any designs on her. I felt sorry for what was happening to her. But I knew that he was going to try to help her. Wow. So, Bob, what do you think now about everything? Well, I will tell you one thing. That's the way it is. I'm not with that one. Ida, I'm with Ida. You are with Ida, yeah. Where is she? I'll tell you about that another time. You were right about it, though. You were absolutely right about it. You're coming home, Lena. You're on your way home now. And it'll be just like me, Lena, when you get there. You'll drift off. And everyone will welcome you. No fear, no fear. Furthest thing from your mind will be all this nonsense. Oh, God. Aren't you going to draw a card for me? Who is this? It's me. John. Yeah, I'll draw a card for you, hon. Take out the gold deck. Oh, God. My woman. My gypsy. Oh, Johnny. We don't need any of this, Lena. We don't need this. Okay. But it's fun. Mother and Father, help us with this reading. Eternity. Truth, 8 of Spades. The truth about eternity is being revealed tonight. Praise be God and Mother. Let's do another. These cards are really gorgeous. Oh my God. 9 of clubs. In with the in club. Number 9, number 9. As we move into January 18th. In a couple of hours, it will be January 18th. That's a magic number. Andy, I'll take one. Oh, these are great. One for Bob, one for Andy. The Ace of Clubs. Best club you're ever going to be in, honey. And you're the queen of that club. Dynamic duo. You and Johnny Ace. You and Johnny Ace. You did good spiritual work today, girl. Thanks, Bob. Yeah. Don't put so much on yourself that you feel like you're not doing anything right or something like that. Another number 9. Everything's coming up. Diamonds and rubies. Okay, great. So what you gonna do now? Well, Bob and Andy and Greta. I believe we're going to watch some more movies, right, John? Yes, that sounds absolutely wonderful. And have some dinner. We have some risotto to finish. Yes. Thank you, Andy Warhol. We would love to have you back this week, as you promised. I'm looking forward to being here, and we'll think of a good project for tomorrow that I would love to do with you. I'd really like to work on a piece of art with you. Like, I'm not sure what yet, but I'd love to work on it with you, and if you want to film it, that would be fine. If not, either way, again, this is not necessary. The filming is not necessary. In fact, sometimes it serves as a distraction. And you're talking to someone who loves the art of filming, and I love this digital technology and just how great everything just looks so amazing in here. It's a very beautiful sanctuary that's very conducive to making beautiful, beautiful artwork. But I think it's a little bit overloaded right now, and we need to step back from it all and pick our project that we're going to do together carefully. John, do you have any ideas on that? I tell you, I don't. I am feeling that overloaded feeling. I'm totally understanding what you mean by that. It's like there's so much to choose from, so many mediums now to choose from with Lena and with everyone that's stepping in and working with us, that you get tied up and you just you say, oh, let's just watch a movie or read a book. You know what? Sometimes that's the only way to go. Sometimes it's the only way to go. And then you get a fresh idea from whatever book you're reading, whatever movie you're watching, and that really gives you the spark. And it's important to not just do art, but to take in other art forms as well. So you have your inspiration. Thank you, Andy, and thank you, John and Bob, St. Jude, Bob Dylan, St. Andrew, St. Greta. It just looks so pretty, I don't want to turn the camera off. But we'll be back with Andy Warhol later this week, and in the meantime, blessed full moon to everybody out there. John, yes, Lena. My love. You make me very happy, and thanks for Thank you. That's okay. Thank you, honey.